let's get started with Elementor. So you have Elementor installed on your website now. You have Elementor Pro installed, and hopefully you have the theme installed. But just as a quick recap on that before we go into the basics of Elementor, basically WordPress is basically what's the system. It's the system of your website. You often call the CMS system. So like you have Wix, Squarespace, etc. You'll be using WordPress. And every WordPress website has a theme. And the recommended theme for Elementor, this is an older website, so this uses Ocean WP. But the recommended theme, as per one of my other videos, is to actually use something called, where is it there? Hello Elementor. And your theme, all that is there for in regards to Elementor is basically to provide some basic settings so that Elementor can work. And this one is very standard so that it doesn't take up a lot of size. And you don't need to look at the design. So like what that looks like on this screenshot and things, totally ignore all of that because literally it doesn't matter because Elementor is a drag and drop builder that allows you to design the website to make it look how you want it to look. And then you would have installed the plugins that you require on this, which would be Elementor, which is the free version, and Elementor Pro. So all my tutorials show you how to use Elementor Pro, okay? Because I don't use the free version myself, and I prefer I think the features that you get with the main one is so much better. So first things first, once you've got everything installed, one thing you might want to do is come into integrations and set up your integrations in regards to your email light system. And we do have a video around on our channel about that, so go check that out. In advance, don't really worry about too much of these features. You know, when you're getting started, they're not really things you need to worry about. You know, you can unlock extra features and things like that, but it's just something that you don't really need to worry about. But one thing that we do want to do pretty early on is make sure that we get all our settings correct and also understand how the builder works. So what we're going to do is just going to add a new page here, just so that we can understand the basics of Elementor. So I'm just going to call this Basics of Elementor. And I'm just going to save the draft. And the reason for that is otherwise it doesn't save the title. So if you ever put the title in on a page, don't just put the title in and then press edit with Elementor because it just gets rid of the title. So put the title in, then press save with draft. And then what we're going to do is press edit with Elementor. So we're not going to be using the WordPress builder, which is here. We're going to be using Elementor as our builder. So as soon as we click that, it now makes it the default for this page and makes it so that whenever you want to edit this page, it's going to use Elementor as the main builder, and you're telling that page you are going to be built within Elementor. So everything, you know, is going to be related to that. Obviously, if you had other drag and drop builders, they'd be built on something else. So this is what you see at first. So here you can see I already have a header set up. So we can see that we've got a header at the top, and we can see at the right hand side here that we have like some widget sections here as well. And at the bottom, we have a footer. So you can see when you hover over this, it'll tell you header and you've got a footer. You can't hover really over that. Now, the first thing to understand is that you have different page types. So when we go into here in settings, what you do have is under here, it says page layout. Okay. So if we change this to Elementor Canvas, this will now make it more like a landing page. So it now has no header, no footer, and no sidebar. It's just a blank canvas for us to work on. So if I was creating a landing page, this is what I would use. Now, the other one you have is Elementor Full Width. And now what that does, it gets rid of the sidebar. So you can see now we still have the header, we still have the footer, but we don't actually have the sidebar, okay? And then the other one that we have is we have the theme or landing page and default. I don't personally use the landing page one, so I would ignore that. But like if we went back to default, then what that's going to do is put it back to how it was when we originally came, where we have the sidebar, header, and the footer. Okay. So for the purpose of this, I'm just going to use Elementor Canvas. We're just going to use that and put that one on just for this tutorial. And then go back to settings. Another thing you have is hide title. So if that was on, what that would have done if I was using like the full width one, let me just show you actually, change this back to full width. It would show the title of the page. It's not doing it due to my settings, but it would show the title of the page here. If your title's showing there, you can just untick it off there like that. So now I'm going to change this back to canvas. There we go. Now, one of the first things I would do when I'm setting up Elementor is set up my global colors, okay? So what I mean by this, right, let's just say that we had a heading Here we go. So we can see you've got a heading here at the top. And then when you went to change the colours of it, I'm going to show you this more in depth in other videos, but you've got this little global thing here. So instead of clicking on here and having to put your hex codes in all the time and changing code like that, you basically can press this global colour and it will save some colours for you. So what I would do 100% is if you come into here, press on the globe and press manage global colours, it will now take you to another little sidebar on the left hand side. Here we go. So now we can see it says site settings and it's showing here colours. So what you can do here is add your colours in, and I would do that as the first thing because it's just going to make your life so much easier, trust me. So you would change your colour, so you'd come in here and change it, you'd change your secondary, text, accent, colour, and then you can add more custom colours. So I've pretty much added all the different kind of colours that we potentially use, and it's as simple as press add colour, give the colour a name, so you put colour name, and then choose what that colour is going to be by either putting the hex code in or, you know, changing it. Transparency you can change on here, for instance. And there you go, you've got the colour. And you can delete it and things like that. Now, as a note, so let's just say that we had a header which had the primary colour on it. It was this colour. And then later on, we changed our global colours and we changed this to a purple. Then any single thing in our website that was using that primary color would change. Okay, so that's another good thing about it, because you can change the design quite easily of the pages and the website then nice and easy. So I would do that and then press update, and then I would press this little back arrow at the top left, not back arrow, ignore me, get off, I'm just going to press save, there we go. And then we're going to go to global fonts. Okay, so global fonts, you can basically choose what your main fonts are going to be. So the primary headline, your secondary headline, and you have your body text, and then also your accent text. So you might want different ones there. And you can change that. And again, if something is using the primary headline font, then what would happen if you change the primary headline font here, it will change it across your website as well. So that's another place that I would change the colors as well, the fonts in as well. You can do stuff like buttons as well, so you can actually theme up the buttons in here. I would personally put a button in here first before you start changing things, but you could come up with the design of your button and things. But the main thing I would do, just to get the basics in, is do the global colors and do the global fonts. And now I'm going to press X off there. I'm just going to discard any changes that I did do, because obviously I don't want to change them, and it will take you back to the page so that you then would see all the colors and things that you want to use. Okay, and that's what that would do. Now, what we're going to do, press X on that. So how basically the Elementor builder works is you have elements, okay? That's why it's called Elementor. And you can see these all here. So you've got headings, images. If you've got Pro, you've got different things on here that you can use as well. The list is pretty endless and it'd be hard to cover everything for you. But we're going to show you some of the basics of what you might want to use and how you basically start building a page up. So the first thing is you work in containers. You used to work in sections. So if your website is showing sections, you're on an old version of Elementor, and you can update it. Whereas container, they're the new version. So basically, you build a page out by dragging a container over. We can see now it's got this like pink line out here. So whatever's highlighted in pink here, this is what you've got selected here. So it says edit container. So if I click on here, you can add more containers as well. So you can do it just like this, but we've got it on here. So now we have a container. Now I want to show you how these work basically, nice and quickly. There's a lot more depth to them, which I'll do in another video, but just showing you basics right now. So if you ever press these 9 dots here, it will take you back to the elements. If I press the 6 dots over something highlighted in pink, it will bring me up to that edit box, so edit container. So I just want to press the 9 dots because I want some elements just to show you what's happening. So if I drag a heading in, you can see I've got a heading here. I'm going to go back to 9 and I want to drag an image in. And now I've got an image. So you basically would drag stuff held inside that container. So if I press edit container now, you can see that pink line goes all the way to the bottom here. So that's my container. What you can do now is arrange the container in several ways. And that the main thing is these 2 directions, because I'm again just showing you the basics. So if I change this to that, now it's put them side by side, because it's saying anything within this container I want to be side by side. If I press the down arrow, it's going to change it. So you're saying anything in this container I want to go on top of each other. So these are really powerful in working things out and how you want to structure your website. So like, let's just say I add another heading in. You can see everything's just going side by side. And what you can do is you can just drag things by usually clicking on the pencil is the best way, and just drag things around as you need to. And you can see these pink lines coming on to show you where you're dragging it. And that's how you kind of would drag things around. So that's basically what the containers look like. So let's just say we had, and just to show you for the purpose of this, I'm going to change the style and the background type of this, and we're going to give it a background color. So you can see that is everything in that container. Now let's just say we wanted to add another container. So I'm going to go to 9 elements and drag another container in. And I'm just going to give this another background color just to show you the difference. So we're going to give this the secondary one. There we go. So now you can see this has got this color on instead. So they're both separate containers. And you can basically move things from one container to the other, like that. You can easily copy containers. So like if we wanted to save this, we could right click and press duplicate. And this is kind of how you build your website out using these containers. And you can put various stuff in that you want to use. So I'm just going to add an image on this just so that we can actually see it a little bit better. We'll just put this image in. There we go. It's got an image now. We've got a heading here. Now, a typical layout, for instance, just to explain containers, you can have a container within a container. So let's just say we wanted it so that that had a heading text, but also some text underneath. So you would come over here, you'd get the text editor, and you'd be like, it's not letting me drag it underneath because it keeps putting everything to the side. So in that instance, what we would need to do is actually add another container. Okay, so we're going to get a container and put it within the container. So if I put that there, then what I can actually do is I can drag this heading in there. I'm going to drag the text in there, and you can see now we've got a container within a container, which is making life so much easier. So if I press that this little button here, navigator, you can see the actual structure. So you can see here I have 2 containers. In the first container, we have an image, which is here, and a container, which is here. So we have another container. You can see it highlighted by this little grey line here. So if I click on that grey bit there, it brings up the edit container. So just to make it more obvious, I am just going to change the colour of this to white. There you go. You can see we have a container within a container, and that container has a heading and a text editor. So this container is set so that it goes down, whereas the top container is set so that it goes across. And that's basically how the containers work. And you would basically build the page out using the different elements that you've got available to you here. Or what you might find here is using a template. So obviously I have got a template video to show you how to install templates. Or if you click on here, add template, there are different things that are available for you to use within Elementor itself. So let's just say you liked this design. You could just press insert. And then what that would do, it would insert it into the page here so that you can then just edit the text, the colors, change the images and things, and you basically have it all ready set up. It's already set up with the containers you can see, and you can just click on things, change the icons, change the text, and all that kind of stuff. Now, what everything generally has, it has a content, style, and advanced at the top. So if we just click on, let's just say this text, for instance, you can see it has content. So these are basic, all the different contents. You could make that middle, you could change the text in here and things like that. It has a style, which allows you to change the text color. It allows you to change the typography. So if I press this pencil, we can change what font that it is. So we could say change it to Vidana, and we can change the size through dragging. We could change it if we wanted to like all uppercase. We could change it so that it's italic, you know, all this kind of stuff. We might want to make it bold. You can change all that kind of stuff within there. That's always within the style. And then your advanced is your margins and your padding and other special things that you can do. So for instance, we could say we want to put a padding of 30 pixels. You can see it's moved it down 30 pixels there. And you might want to put 30 at the bottom. So it's put 30 pixel padding at the top and the bottom. And it's always something that you want to do when you're building a website, is you want to make sure, so like this container, for instance, there's barely no space whatsoever. So if you was on the container, if we press edit container and go to advanced, you can see that's where the padding is. So you might put something like, I want 80 padding at the top and 80 padding at the bottom, just so that it's actually spaced things out a little bit more. And it's the same for everything. So if we click on the image, again, content, style, and advanced. So in style, we'll be able to change stuff such as what width we want this image to be. We can change if we want it to be like, you know, a bit faded out or anything like that. You can change various different things, put borders on it. We could put a radius on it so it's got curved edges. Lots of different things, which we will go in more depth in other videos, because again, we're just showing you the basics. And obviously it's got the advanced bit where you've got the margin, the padding, and you can align things nice and easily. So that's basically how that would work in regards to like editing anything, basically. So even here, like if I click on here, I've got another heading there. If I click on this here, this is an icon box, but that still has content, style, advanced, and that's kind of how it all works. But once you've done with your page, you'd basically publish it off, and off you would go, you've got your page. But one final step to remember is that you have a mobile view as well. So at the very bottom here, you have this little bit here called responsive mode. If you click on it, at the top, you can see then, you can flick through to see what things look like. So we could see maybe this is too big on the mobile, the text. So we could come on here, and if we edit on here, you can see here it's got the mobile form there. That means if we change the text size here, so if I change this to like that, 38, it will only affect the mobile. So if I flick back to the desktop now, it is the exact same size still. It is still 63. I have only changed it on the mobile. On the iPad version, so let's just say I change this text here on the iPad version. Just going to go to it. So you can see the iPad, and I'm going to change it to 16. Okay. It will not have affected the desktop version, but it will affect the mobile version because we edited that first. So that's being edited to 16. So basically, whatever you edit on the iPad does go down to the tablet mobile. But then if I edited the mobile and I said, I want to change this to 14, it would not have changed the iPad. Okay. So it's usually best to edit your desktop first, then edit the iPad, then edit the mobile when you're going along. It is like this on the mobile. Well, that needs some padding. It looks way too near the sides. So I might say, right, I want 10 padding on the left and 10 padding on the right. Just get it away from the sides. But again, there's that mobile icon there, which means it's not edited the desktop version here. And if you ever want to preview, you just press the preview changes button here. And what it will do is open it up in a new tab so you can see what the page would look like live. And other than that, that's basically the basics of the Elementor builder. So you can build out your pages how you want to. And obviously we'll do more videos on how to understand all the different parts and things that you can do with this as well.